reading is, if I put a metaphor for this, you know, reading is food for mind. Like eating is food for your body, reading is food for mind. Now, I ask this from people, when you have 2 minutes to eat, what do? We eat fast. When you have 2 minutes to read, what do? We don't read. So we don't make that distinct difference between feeding the mind and feeding the body. We somehow manage to swallow the food in 2 minutes and then figure that out. But if you don't feel the hunger of mind, hunger for wisdom, hunger for knowledge, you wouldn't read. So the whole drive for me came from that hunger for knowledge. I knew there was so much out there, and the more you know, the better wisdom you will have. So that's what drove me to get into speed reading. I just did a quick search on who reads fast today. So there's a Stephen Berg guy who holds a Guinness Book record for 25,000 words a minute, 25,000 words a minute. And Dr. Teresa Caldero, Caldero, PhD, she reads 80,000 words a minute. I just Googled. So that's a second page. So had few experiences. I used to travel quite a bit in my cinema time, and I carry a book, and every book I read, there is a pencil. That's my bookmark. So if somebody asks, what can I get you for your birthday, I say, can you get me a thin pencil? That's what I need. So I keep it in the book so that I can use it as a pacer, and I used to underline. As if something comes, as underline. I remember the kingfisher metaphor, Sanjeev. You should just go, you see a fish, you dive, take it up. So I used to underline. So there was this 2014, if I remember right. I was at the SEMA conference of all the directors and managers. And Dr. Noel Tego was presenting a report called Education for Employment. And he said, here is the link, and we downloaded it. We were going on. And he was putting some statistics in the initial stages. And I don't know, I just habit. I was probably in the 30th page or whatever. And I said, no, that's been challenged. That's not the figure. Then he looked at me and said, where are you? I said, I'm in page 37. And they said, yeah, in page 6. So I just had to pause. So that was an excellent experience that I had. And you realize everybody like looked at you to say, who's this guy? Where is he from? As if he's from another planet. So it takes you as, see, what it brought you is that that impatience to read the next one. So that's what I found happened. I still practice speed reading because I mark papers. I had to read assignments of 5,000 words, 7,000 words. It just goes, right? So I practice, and there was a very interesting experience I had on one of the flights. There was this gentleman who was seated next to me, and I was flipping pages. And he looked at me. He asked me, what are you reading? I was reading Steve Jobs' life at that time. So one of the books, I said, this is what I'm reading. And I was flipping pages, And he asked me, are you counting the pages or are you reading? I said, I'm reading. So it's fascinating, and people do observe. And when you start flipping, I'm sure you must have experienced it, you start flipping pages, and I thought, wow, this is a skill. Then I told him, I'm reading, and this is that and we had a conversation and paused it about what is speed reading or how it helps in life and all that. I worked in the government for about 8 months, and there was this gentleman, and most of you know, Mr. Bhaskar. I think he's in his 90s. And we did a proposal to cabinet, and I wanted to pass it through him. It was a 4-page proposal. I remember this distinctly, a 90-year-old man, very feeble. So I took the paper to him and said, Mr. Bhaskar, would you like to take a look at this? He took the paper and immediately pulled out his pen. And he, yeah, this is good to go. Not even a minute. And I thought, Then I asked him, you speed read? He said, how do you manage cabinet papers otherwise? So that's a skill that, like you said, once you stretch your mind to a point, there's no going back. So very recently, very recently, a couple of weeks back, there was this forum that I'm part of, and then this lady passed on a document and said, "What are your thoughts on this?" I went back in about 2 minutes and I said, "Yeah, this is good, but these are the areas that you need to focus on." And she texted back and said, "Oh my God, that's fast. You read?" I said, "I read, and I read fast." So it helps for you to get on with it. The whole story of saving time works for you when you speed read. And I think I read 10 pages a day. I can't sleep without it. So every night I read minimum 10 pages. And as a result, my son has started reading. I have a couple of books. I read 2-3 books at the same time. So there are different books I pick up and then I continue from where I left. So my son also has a couple of books on his side of the bed, and he also starts reading. So it brings you to a different level. And I think it's the reading that made you write. So if I might now share my screen. Give me a shout if you can't see it.
We can see, yeah, but you can put it on the, yeah.
Right. So you come to a moment in life that you want to write. I mean, every one of us can write. If you can talk, you can write. I can talk to the computer and write for you. So what made me write? It's not to make money, but it is, you realize that everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has some experience that they can share. And in today's context, you can even put it as an ebook. It's very simple. Any Word document can be converted into a book in 10 minutes. There are softwares which you can do that. So there is lots of stuff that we can do because we have lots of experiences that we can talk about. Little things that you have done that help another person. So at the end of the day, as a human being, the biggest obligation we have, in my perspective, is to help another human being, to see a different side of him. That's what Sanjeev is doing. That was, he said, his vision is to find who we are and how to become the best. So that moment comes in to write the book Role. And why Role? It's the whole equation comes down. I'll come to why Role. So it was launched 2 years back, actually. And we had, it was a very family kind of event. And my daughter did the introduction. My second daughter sang. And then it was Ravidash who was the chief guest, and then we had Peter who did the review, who was a schoolmate of mine. So why did I write Role? See, Role is something that I have been teaching. It's a workshop. I'm sure Sanjeev does lots of workshops telling this. I've been teaching a workshop called Role Diagnosis. I've been telling people how do you diagnose the roles. Most of us move careers, get promoted, shift jobs, but we don't pause to find out what is the new role that I'm coming into. But every role has a different environment, different PowerPoints, different pressure points. But we just continue. I mean, if you take my banking career, I become a officer, then an executive. We just run the same. It's like a train stopping in different stations. It's like a train going to Norelia, and you just keep climbing, and you're in the same train and same station. But every station has a different environment. You miss that. And if you don't pause to realize what the environment of that particular station is, that particular role is, you're not going to perform. We bring the same skill set, the knowledge set, the experience set into different roles in jobs, in promotions, in countries. The same role in a different country has a totally different perspective. And if you don't stop to diagnose that, we fail. And we that's why we find a guy who is, take a batsman becoming a bowler, massive shifted role. So you change that. The reason why I wrote Role is because I started teaching this as a workshop, and it was triggered by Professor in India, Professor Arundhati. I forget his surname. Professor Arundhati. She questioned me. How do you diagnose your role in your current place of work. That was the question that triggered this. And I asked her, what do you mean? So he said, if you don't diagnose the role, how do you perform? You just get prescribed by various other things, but that's not performance. So the whole idea is to help people understand, if you want to perform in a particular, it's like an actor. If you want to perform a particular role, you go to diagnose that role. One actor can perform different roles. That's, I think, best example. But you have to understand that role, the emotions behind that role, and then you perform. So that's why I wrote Role, to help people, young people, to understand. Diagnostic approach to performance. Diagnose the role every time you move. What does it involve? So it takes, this is basically the essence of the book. This is basically the essence of the book. What influences every role? And if you see that, your role needs skill, your role needs knowledge, your role needs to be conscious of the environment that you're playing, and your attitudes. Different roles have different attitudes, and some have to be constructed attitudes. And that leads to behavior, not to performance. We often mistake behavior to performance. We behave in a role first. Once you get a promotion, once you get a new job, you begin to behave in that role. Once you get married, once you have a child, you begin to behave as a father. But performing as a father is different to behaving as a father. So the line between behavior and performance is the objective, personal and organization. And then we often want reward. So what I talked about is there should be personal objective, organizational objectives, organizational goals, personal objectives, personal goals. And sometimes they don't click, and that's when you move. The point here is, you need to be performing on your personal goals, you need to be performing on your personal objectives. So how do I do that? What attitude do I have to increase my reading speed? So that's my personal objective. So and it moves on to reward. And here, I'm not talking reward from outside. Recognition, progress, responsibility, growth, excellence. There is a lady called Kate Wood, whom I met late last year in India, before the coronavirus hit. This lady is the owner of the #1 place, the best place to work in UK. She was a mother of 2 at the age of 16. Thrown out of home, drop out of school, 2 kids, no job, no qualification. What would a woman of 16 years in UK with 2 kids would easily do? Piccadilly Street, end up as a pole dancer, or become a mom. That's the easiest path. She said, I decided that I'm going to be something else. So she started as a waitress. And she said, as a waitress, I set a standard for myself. If I served 17 tables yesterday, I want to serve 20 tables today. So you set that performance yourself to move. And she started as a cleaner. She said, if I took 2 hours to sweep the hall, I would sweep that in 1 hour, 45 minutes the next day. So personal, and this is just sweeping the floor. This is just serving tables. And then she said at one point, she applied for a sales job in an IT company. She had nothing about IT. And she said, my CV only had 2 qualifications. One said energy, other said attitude, which is high. And to date, in their company, they only hire people and promote people for energy and attitude. So my learning from that, we came back after that conference, I told my HR, when you advertise for salespeople or any people, the first line that we're looking for is energy and attitude. We don't care about the qualifications. Google has given up on qualifications. They come down to attitude. So the reward recognition part, I talk about in this book, is not to expect from outside. It's not going to come. It's not going to come. And we are going to get demotivated. So the book recommends Reward yourself. You do something, put a pat on your back and move on. I know Priyanta Talwar, who is the current CEO of Nation Trust Bank, is a batchmate of mine at PIM. There was a day that I came out of a board meeting pretty dejected, not to receive. I mean, we launched the credit cards. I make credit card and went to the board meeting, and then you're hyped up, and you go and tell them, and I do not then sit. Well done. So when do you break even? That's it. A lot of efforts went in. So I came back, and he walked into my room and said something I've remembered ever since for the last 2000, 2001, 2000. I'm remembering these lines. He said, Brad, senior management is a lonely place. Don't expect any reward recognition. Learn to put a pat on your back and move. So the reward that I'm talking here, when you recognize, and the performance you recognize more than anybody else. You know when you perform. You know when you read 200 pages in an hour. You know. You give yourself a reward. You give yourself a recognition. Talk to your family Facebook group and say, you know what? I did this. I remember I bought a book called A Body in 4 Days. And I put it up on Facebook. It was that big, right? And I put it up on Facebook and said, okay, A Body in 4 Days might need over 4 months to read. And who was the first to comment on this? It's Sanjeev Jayaratnam. And he comes back and says, you're a speed reader. Right. So that's the kind of attitude. And I said, oh yeah, no, why not? So go for it. So that's the kind of attitude you bring when you want to go in. So recognition, self. Progress, self. When I say when you perform well, think about the Kate story. How do I progress from mopping the floor in 2 hours to 90 minutes, 90 seconds, 90 minutes? So that's the kind of equation that they're running into. Responsibility. You perform, you get a bit more responsibility. But again, do you wait for them to give it to you or you take it? I'll give you a simple example from my career. I was appointed as CIMA CEO for Sri Lanka. Nobody asked me, but we reached out to Maldives and signed up an agreement with the Maldivian government to train 50 students from the government. It was not my responsibility to expand Maldives. When they got it done, when I said I'm signing up for 50 students paid by the government, so my boss, Rick Sturge, a brilliant boss that I work for, he said, go anywhere you want. And that's how my position became regional, because I took responsibility to go into Maldives. Responsibilities are never given. We often expect the companies to give us responsibility into our role. The role, there's a defined responsibility in your letter of appointment. But go beyond that. Go beyond that. When you take more responsibility, you are self-expanding your role. And then growth is how much you contribute. How much you contribute. The book talks about growth in your contribution and not on things around you. And again, the final thing, when you perform, you reach out to excellence. So again, it talks about personal. You will know whether it's speed reading, whether it is mopping the floor, whether you are better. On this responsibility bit, I remember there was this university I visited in Singapore, in the dense room, where I was coming out, I noticed a board which said, and with a photograph, mind you, which said, I am accountable to keep this toilet clean. This is a toilet cleaner, mind you. And said, you have a complaint, here's my number. And talk about responsibility. So I talk about that in the book. So this is what made me write. This is the workshop I conduct. So what I have done in the book is to elaborate every circle and every box in this book, how it connects. So it's actually a handbook. It's not something that you read and leave behind. It's something you can keep on your table, and every time you change a job, or even if you get married, you become a father, you can apply this. You can apply this, and what skill do I need to be a good father? What knowledge do I need to have? What is the environment I create as a father? What is my attitude as a father? You can ask these questions, and you will notice the moment you know you have a child, your behavior changes. The moment I know when your child attains age, your behavior changes. So that role of a young father of a young girl, see how it shifts. You're a father, but now a father of a young girl. So what's that role? What is the attitude? What's your behavior? What environment do you create when you have a young girl? When you have a teenage kid? Sanjeev and I had this conversation some time back. When you have teenage kids, our roles as parents changes. So the role that we had when they were, young fellows running around, the skill we had, the environment we created, the attitude we have has to change, because today kids are different from you and I when we were kids. So that's the whole equation. It's not about work, it's about every role that we play. Do we diagnose it? What influences that role? And how do I distinguish between performing as a father, performing as a husband, or performing as a CEO or a manager, or whatever, or a government servant or whatever? Every one of us are playing a role. We play different roles in a day, and each of them need to be diagnosed. So this book is about bringing some thoughts into that. So some reviews, interesting reviews. These are colleagues whom I work with. It's good to get reviews from people, and understand that. Some local, so it's available on Kindle as well. The role diagnostic approach. I must warn you, in first publisher, there are some mistakes that I've made. I'm redoing that to publish as an ebook. And my request to you is, this is not to talk about my book. This 20 or 10, 15 minutes I took is to ask you to write a book. Because every one of you have an experience that's worthy of sharing. So please do that. And thank you very much, Sanjeev. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Bradley. That was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And your book. So as also we had a chat, our role always is changing, isn't it? And sometimes the problem is that we don't recognize that the role has changed, and we are still trying to be a father of a 10-year-old when the child is no longer 10. So the role has changed, but we have not actually
paused.
Paused. We have not figured it out that the role has changed, and I'm sure it must be the same for lots of us, right? Even as a manager, sometimes our subordinates have now been in the job for 5 years. They have changed, right? So it from being a fresh recruit straight out of university, now the guy has 5 years experience. Are we handling them in the same way? Yeah. So thank you very much, Bradley. I think I was thinking a lot. It got me thinking a lot again. So that's absolutely great. And that is the idea, that these talks that we have from our guest speakers get us to think. Yeah. Any thoughts you have? Any questions you have for Bradley? I'm sure he'll be happy to answer. Any comments? Please do share. This is what I want to make this forum is an area where we all can share. We can all contribute. We can all add value to each other rather than making it a one-way thing, right? So please, and if anyone wants to say something, now is the time. Any questions for Bradley? Shall we give Bradley a big clap for the fantastic speech? And thank you also.
Sanjeev,
Somebody's asking a question. Yes.
Sorry, Sanjeev, this is Nishad. So Bradley,
yes,
this question about your slide, right? I understood the slide, but there's objectives and goals, right? To me, it sort of seems similar. What is the difference between objective and a goal?
Where is
Probably
okay?
example would be great.
Okay, right, good one. Objective is okay. I'll tell you what is the objective of speed reading.
Sorry.
What is the goal of speed reading?
I mean, read books faster.
Right. So that's your objective, and the goal is to acquire more knowledge.
All right. Okay. Hmm.
You see, one is the means to an end, but these are short term. If you can't have a goal without an objective. Speed reading, I have an objective that I want to develop. My objective is to increase my skill of reading faster, and the goal is to acquire more knowledge.
All right.
Did you get that?
Yes, yes, I.
Great. Thanks. Thanks, Bradley. Thanks, Nishad.
Thanks, Bradley.
Anything else? Anything else? Any other questions, comments?
Just a quick comment, Michael. Here, I think lots of insights and food for thought. Appreciate the download.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Bradley. So very appreciative audience. So thank you very much. Stay safe, stay blessed. We'll meet again on the 25th of July. Take care.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Bradley.
Thank you,
Thanks
Sanjeev
again.
and Bradley. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Sanjeev.
Thanks, Sanjeev.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.